just recording before going to bed. It's quite... I do want to turn on our lights because I think a bunch of moths may come in, but still some daylight there. It just seems like does not pick in a huge amount of light up on this camera. Maybe I need one of those fancy Google Pixel cameras. There's a sense of feeling lost today. I was in a lot of pain this morning. I think a lot of pain was just, I felt like I was just blocked on lots of levels. Dealing with the challenges I'm dealing with, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this in my last vlog, but my issues with writing, of trying to figure out where that fits in and all of that stuff. Yeah, that was playing on my mind today. And I guess I was just feeling very lost on what to do. It's really hard to figure out how to spend my time at the moment. It sounds like a strange thing to say out loud. There's all these sort of negative voices in my head saying, get on with your life, go and do something, pick up a new hobby or activity, and it just doesn't seem as simple as that. So it feels like I'm in this place of being unwell, but I feel like depression and anxiety can be such a huge spectrum, and they become more ambiguous, those two words. It's more and more symptoms are underneath them, and it becomes more difficult to have a sort of conversation with somebody, or for people to understand, especially with those who may not have those same mental health challenges. And at the moment it's just really hard to keep myself afloat. And right now is a very, very delicate balance of managing my health in regards to my mood, my stress levels, my level of pressure on my mind in regards to cognitive function. For example, I set myself the task of 1 hour of reading, which was a huge sort of stretch for me. I was in a mood to just try and push myself. And the book I was reading was called The Highly Sensitive Person, something I came across and I almost completely forgot about. And it's strange because highly sensitive person, it's of course a term, and I'm aware of my sensitivity, but I almost forget where they can be housed, because I feel like perhaps autism is one other place, but highly sensitive person as well, and I'm not sure how it all fits together. But I thought myself, I'll give myself an hour to read this, and 10 minutes into reading I was just not able to or even from the get-go, really, I wasn't able to really process what was being said, or it took a monumental effort to process the words and the meanings, and it felt like I was forgetting what I'd read moments after, and how it fits in with what I'm reading now on the large canvas of highly sensitive person. And it was very disheartening to try and go on, because it was just like, it just didn't feel like, what was the point? It felt just like I was just scrambling my brain almost. So even though I was super determined to read for an hour, it just feels like these types of books where I'm trying to gain understanding. I've got other books similar. I've got one about codependency as well. It just feels like it's beyond my capability at the moment to read and absorb, to integrate, to better myself with these types of books, just because of my lack of mental capabilities. The fundamentals of reading, understanding, comprehending, where it doesn't seem like it's possible for me, and it's really hard to admit, to try and put into words, because it feels like I'm not trying hard enough, or and other similar things. And I think I mentioned about the craft of writing, and not being able to progress and build on that. I think I went into, hopefully I did, in my last vlog, the details about my struggles with writing, and it was coming to terms with that, writing being used as the centerpiece for my routine and structure and health. And I think I just, it's coming back to me a bit in regards to just keeping things simple. So there's a bit of like almost a hangover from the feelings of the day before about not being able to dial into writing, and to have maybe that not being a viable option for me. And so a lot of today was just lots of moments of sitting or standing, not knowing what to do with myself. One positive thing was I've kind of, tried to emphasize and put more kind of attention into being present, which is my current, I wouldn't know what to call it. Don't know if practice is the right word anymore, and it helped. It did help a lot. It actually helped me get out of the really difficult place I was in this morning. It was suddenly just focusing on a present moment. There was a lightness. There was a sudden lifting of the burden of having to figure things out, and just my identity of me, mental health, and I could just let that go. And sometimes it's difficult to decipher where I am spiritually, because I feel like sometimes you need some mental capacity to process and understand what's happening in regards to like a spiritual experience or journey. And so it's almost like looking at a TV it's got some static on the screen, so it's hard to decipher things. But so amidst all of this kind of chaos or uncertainty in my life and my day-to-day, there is some sort of consistency, or going back to just a simple, to being mindful in this moment, to being present in this moment. Realizing it's getting darker and darker now, so soon this, you can probably I can barely see my face, but maybe I'll end this soon. So yeah, it's just, is that enough for the moment? Should I just keep going with that, just being present? And I think with that scenario, there's a whole almost new way of living within that way, that for me to suddenly live in that extreme of the present, of being present, and just kind of clinging on to the edge, like that, the razor's edge of just in the present moment. It feels like that also in some ways takes a toll on my mental health, to kind of just not, it's not necessarily blocking thoughts or stopping thoughts, but not engaging in them, and to suddenly go from one extreme to another, it also feels difficult as well. So yeah, on lots of levels, it just feel like I'm sort of mentally going adrift, losing my place in the world almost. And some of this kind of in some ways contradicts, mindfulness in the sense of where you're not, in the essence of that being present, you don't have an identity, you don't have a name, you don't have, they're there to reference, but in the experience of being present, I won't go into this too much, because this is what I sort of talk about on the podcast, and this is, I don't want to really talk too much about that stuff here, really. So now it's fairly early in the evening. It's still before 10 o'clock, so I had a really difficult sleep last night, so and it's been really quite hot today, so I've got like an ice pack with me that I can't really show. There's no light left now. I think any light gets picked up. So I'm going to try and just get a good sleep, just focus on what I can do now, hopefully get out early for a walk while it doesn't get too hot tomorrow. So tomorrow's going to be another quite a hot day, so I'm going to try and get out early, and I don't know really what else to say about tomorrow. Maybe just I have to just go back to being present, just to lying down on my bed and focusing on my breathing, my body awareness, and just that's it. I have to, maybe it's too much for me to think about tomorrow and how to get through that. It seems a bit scary, but so I've got my ice pack, and I'm just going to focus on trying to get a restorative sleep, which I know will be healthy for me, and we'll see how I feel tomorrow.